In 1961, my brother answered an advertisement in the Box Hill Gazette to form a baseball club in Box Hill. My mum and dad got actively involved and the Box Hill Baseball Club was formed. In 1973, Box Hill merged with the Doncaster Baseball Club through great friendships between my mate Frank Jordan and Stumpy Russell, and the Doncaster United Club was formed in 1974. We were in C grade in VBA and we won the premiership. The following year, we actually then moved down here to Deep Creek, and my mum used to score. Dad was the original president of the Doncaster, and as we know, the Best Clubman Award is still named after him. But my mum, Marjorie, should also take some credit. This originally was a cricket ground, so it had a bit of a bend in it, and it had a cricket wicket in the middle. And then over time, the council levelled the ground, and the club also helped have working bees, etc., to put in what we know now as the baseball diamond and put the mound in. Amazing compared to when we started. There was what was here in what is now the unbelievable pavilion was basically just like a bus shelter, and there was a place where you can just put baseball gear and lock it in a tin shed. And we've now got this incredible multi-million-dollar pavilion, which is just awesome. And we can look back 50 years ago at what we and a lot of others started, and to see it now, one, it shows that I'm getting old, but two, it just shows what can be achieved. And congratulate everybody from day one to now for what Doncaster's achieved, including junior baseball, but also including now women playing baseball. Great bunch of friends. This is what comes out of sport, is friendships. And obviously there's quite a number of friendships of people that were involved in that 74 thing who are still friends. And to know that we were the foundation of that is fantastic.
I'd do anything to turn back the clock to play. I just loved it. I used to sleep in my uniform, for God's sake. All those people I come through, early 70s till now, it's more like a family atmosphere. That family is the most important thing. Like everybody wanted to play for the club, or the family as I call it, being the club. The stadium behind me, this is something I've honestly, when I first come down here, I saw what was going to be planned, and now seeing it in its completion, I'm emotional about it, because this is what we played for. This is what we done. Chook raffles, we done, all the things to raise $1 50 years ago. We could not have imagined what this is here, what you got here. It's a credit to all committees, all the past committees have done a fantastic job to get to this point where this is, and that's what I'm so proud of.
Started Doncaster in the 80s, and the main reason they came here was I knew Bill Hodges very well, and they'd had a plan for the club to transition from pretty much an older side to a much younger team. They'd continually been sort of up and down and up and down. The crew that they had were very competitive and very good, but they had super juniors. They had some really, really good juniors, the Pollocks, the Morleys, the Lacey. They were looking for somebody that they thought could lead the young kids through to a Division I club. So they approached me, and that's what they were looking to do. And it sounded pretty good to me. I knew the kids that were here, so I thought, well, let's give it a bash and see how we go. Probably the most enjoyable baseball that I've been associated with for all my baseball playing days, to be honest. What made it most enjoyable was, without a doubt, seeing these kids develop. Working with the kids, the under 12s, the under 14s, under 16s. This club had some unbelievable talent, and just watching them develop, that to me was what the real reward was, being here at Doncaster, without a doubt. When I first came to the club rooms, actually, there was a tin shed just over where the car park was. And We had fridges stuck in this tin shed, and there's many times after training we'd go in there and we'd sit there drinking until all hours of the morning and talking baseball. And so from the tin shed, it sort of developed to the Tree to Pine club rooms, which we thought were just unbelievable. That was fantastic. And now you look at this is just brilliant. What makes the club what it is the people. It's the people that are involved in the club. There's always been people here, a nucleus of really, really good people that want nothing but to see the club survive and prosper. It's one thing, like when you're in the States, to follow a club and to be passionate about the club, particularly when the club wins. But when you're out here, to be truly associated with the club and to be part of that club, whether it be through coaching or administration, is just, to me, that's the big part. That's the part of belonging to something. There is a sense of belonging at Doncaster. It's just a fabulous club.
I started here in 1980-81, which coincided with Doncaster's first year in Division 1. They'd won the premiership in Division 2, obviously, the year before. And from the day I walked into the place, I really loved it, fell in love with it, fell in love with the people. I really did enjoy playing here. It's a wonderful field to play at. Facilities were very Spartan, nothing like this fabulous facility that exists now. But it was what we had and we dealt with it. And now it's a memory I hold very dear. You know, it's not often you get to say that you were the first or part of the first of something. And playing in that first Division 1 game is a memory that's very strong with me. And I had a pretty good day too. I remember getting 3 hits and knocking about 5 or 6 in a losing side. So it was a nice way to start my time here. When I first came back to coach the club in 2002 as a non-playing coach, they'd just been relegated. We were going to start the year in second division. We'd lost a lot of senior players, and it was going to be a challenge. The club itself was, I think, probably at its lowest point. They were close to being insolvent, and it was the great work of John Hollingsworth, Dale McGrath, Jeff McDonald, with a fair bit of behind-the-scenes support and push from John and Sandy Cliff, that got the club back on the straight and narrow off the field. And I think that was really the first big change, that all of a sudden we became financially viable again. Off the field, socially, things started to change again. And so I saw my job as the club coach there to build on that and ultimately to be able to deliver on-field performance. Now, that wasn't going to come immediately. We knew that, because losing the calibre of player that we did, and we had a strong raft of young players that weren't quite ready. So we battled along for a couple of years. I mean, there were certainly some very fine players, Chris Nicholson, Paul Leichhardt, Lockie, Michael DeBelli, people like that. People who really soldiered the workload for us while we went through those couple of lean years. And then ultimately in 2006-07, that delivered us the second division premiership. And I think, again, from an ongoing perspective, that was a big catalyst for the club at that time, because not only did it kick us back into Division 1, but I think it put us back on the map a little bit, as the fact that we had sort of re-arrived almost in the baseball landscape. It's been an absolute privilege to be involved with so many wonderful people throughout this club, and I guess to think that you may have had some small impact on other people and players is quite humbling.
The Doncaster women's story actually begins back in the 90s. We were a women's team that played summer at Green Hills Montmorency. There wasn't any men that played summer back then. It was just us, so we had to mow the lawns, mark the diamonds. It was really tough. And Peter Collis came to us in the year 2000 and asked if we'd like to come across and play at Doncaster Baseball Club. And at that stage, they had a very strong men's program, a really strong juniors program, but they were missing something, which was a women's program. We came across with two teams. We had players like Nancy Duncan, Tani Kerwood, Brooke Halliwell, and Nay Kelly. I can still remember my first training session. The girls all came down here, and the first two people to greet us, John and Sandy. John and Sandy have been the biggest part of this playing group since I can remember. John coached the threes, Sandy cooked us dinners. Every girl that's in our program knows the secret recipe to making ice cream. We've all asked Sandy that question. They've definitely been a big part of our success as well. It was really hard at the start. It was so tough. We went straight into Division 1. Probably only won a couple of games for each season at the start. And I think it's through the hard work of the playing group. Went to training 2 times a week. The girls are starting to make state teams and things like that, and started really showing on the park. And that success came through not just the ones, but actually filtered down through the other teams as well, where we won a lot of flags. We had a massive program. We had the largest program in the country with 4 teams. And we had a lot of amazing players that have come through this program. Not only have we seen a lot of success as a club level, we've actually seen a lot of state and world representation. And we've got players that have played at this club, Jade Huff, Amy McCann, Elisa Tamburino, Bronwyn Gell. Premierships and Australian representatives are great. They're awesome, but we're starting to see a really great pathway with our program. Now we're actually seeing players that were part of our juniors, whether they were in a T-ball program or played junior baseball. They're all playing senior baseball with us now. Jamie Bastian, Belinda Cannington, Erin Collis. We've seen such a great pathway in our program. Someone asked me, what is it like to be a Dragon at Doncaster? And I think to myself, every time I rock up to this field and I get to see the trees in the background, the ducks on the field, this amazing new club rooms, I just think it's home. I couldn't see myself playing for another summer club ever in my lifetime, because this club has been so welcoming to us since the first day that we came here, when we met John and Sandy, to every board member, every men's player, every juniors player, every parent. I look at things like that and I think to myself, this is my home. It was hard to build what we have today. So when I look back now, where we started, and think about where we've come, I'm so proud. I really am. I'm getting choked up right now just talking about it.
I started here in T-ball. The club gave me the opportunity to pursue my dream, and club's a big part of me and who I am. Last year's Winter A-grade grand final was amazing. We had so many people, past players and coaches and life members, and everyone just out on the field, so many people that care. It meant a lot to so many people. It's just a really welcoming place. You've got a lot of people who it's the only club they've ever played at. They don't see a reason to leave, and I think that's just because of how welcome everyone's made to feel from the moment they get here, and it's why we have such good representation across the board. It's why we have continually more men's teams than one field deserves. That's why we've got a really professionally run and really successful women's program that's been really good for a really long time. It's why the winter program has gone from D grade to A grade premiers in a short period of time, and it's why we've got a junior program that not only churns out long-time senior contributors, but truly elite talent. And once those players reach a high level, they end up back here. Anything I've been able to contribute doesn't really compare to what the club's given me. And I think anyone that has volunteered any of their time and done anything around the club would probably say the same.